Top of the morning, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Wladimir Klitschko. Get this. Wladimir Klitschko roast hypocrite Tyson Fury over his Oleksandr Usyk steroid comment. Wow. Former heavyweight champion Wladimir Klitschko came firing back at Tyson Fury on Wednesday, letting him know that he's a hypocrite and he needs to keep his trap shut after his comment about Oleksandr Usyk this week. Fury said on social media, of course, that Joshua let a little steroid man Usyk defeat him and take the 3 titles last September at the Tottenham Stadium in London, England. As you would expect, Wladimir saw Fury's comment as a little rich, considering that the Gypsy King tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug, nandrolone, in February of 2015. Fury would later beat Wladimir Klitschko the same year in November of 2015, but obviously it looked terrible that Tyson tested positive for the PED earlier. Quote, "You've let a little steroid man come up from middleweight and set about ye and take all your belts," said Fury on social media. On Tuesday, the WBC heavyweight champion Fury lit into Anthony Joshua, blasting him over the loss to Oleksandr Usyk, saying that Oleksandr Usyk beat him and was a steroid cheat. Okay, and this is what Wladimir Klitschko said in his entirety. Okay, so get this. He said, "Tyson Fury, you live in a glass house and someone needs to take away your stones," said Wladimir Klitschko on social media. "It wasn't long ago before our fight where you actually tested positive. Anyone can Google it. Keep it classy. Hashtag Usyk champion. Hashtag Ukraine. Hashtag hypocrite at Usyk AA." Fury reacts to Wladimir biting criticism. Let me counterpunch. I can't agree more. Okay. I can't agree. I can't say it better than Wladimir. I think that Wladimir is a classy guy. And you know, if anybody can say anything and anybody has room to say anything at all about Tyson the Gypsy King Fury, it's Wladimir Klitschko. Not Deontay Wilder, not Deontay Wilder's camp or team or followers or worshipers or whatever the fuck. None of those guys have any room to say anything about Tyson Fury. Why? Because they were not around when Tyson Fury did what he did or tested positive when he tested positive in 2015. You don't come at a person 5 years later about something he did 5 years ago. However, what you don't want to do, though, like Tyson Fury did, is come at or accuse a fighter that never tested positive that he tested positive just because he was smaller and came from a different weight class. That's what you don't do. Okay? And if anybody should be pissed off is Wladimir Klitschko, because Wladimir Klitschko fought Tyson Fury unknowingly that he had nandrolone in his system. See, this is what happened, okay? And I want people to understand. UCAD already found the amounts or the large or elevated amounts of nandrolone in Tyson Fury's system. Not just Tyson Fury, Huey Fury as well. Okay, but Tyson Fury, they gave him a slap on the wrist, okay, and they said, "Hey, well, you need to eat right, you need to stop doing this and start doing this or whatever." Like, kind of gave him, you know, like a analysis of the things that he needs to do. Okay, so that's what they did with him. All right, but then he goes and fights Wladimir, upsets Wladimir. Then the next year they decide, "Oh, you know what? You were and you did take something to have those elevated levels, and now we're going to charge you." That's exactly what what UCAD did. Okay. And the problem I have with that is they should have done that up front, because it shows you if you have time to do something, you have to consider why you took so much time on making a decision to do this with Tyson Fury. You waited to after he beat Vlad to then mandate something you should have already made a decision on. They should have already said, you know what? Those levels are way too high, brother. You had to be taking something to have that in your system. Everyone has nandrolone in the system, okay? It's something that you're supposed to have, but elevated levels shows that it was something else in his system. Now, let's get deeper. What did he test positive for after that? Cocaine. Cocaine will offset any of that shit. So how do we know he wasn't taking it at that time or when? Because UCAD let him off the hook for a certain amount of time and then put him right back on the hook the next year. So between the nandrolone, between Martin Carefoot, between the wild boar meat, that's what he said he got it from. That was his alibi. Between all this shit and between all that levels of time, you beating Klitschko and then in the next year they catch you, you don't know what Tyson Fury was doing. Okay, but we're talking about 2015 through 16. Nothing that had anything to do with 2020 before anybody starts, before people come on here talking about, well, I told you were cheating. The cheaters, once a cheat's always a cheat. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about 2020, okay? Because we all know what happened in 20 and 21, okay? And nobody tested positive for anything, for any reason. So we're not talking about those years. Again, we're not talking about 2020 and 21. We're talking about 2015 and 16. And Wladimir Klitschko should feel cheated because he was fighting a guy that may or may not had something in his agent in his body that helped aid him to win that fight against him. And then he didn't want to return for the rematch. So that's just extra insult and extra injury on top of that. Okay, so when you do hear someone that did a good job and then some other guy that did eventually get tested or get ruled as positive on his has something to say about that guy that did nothing, yes, I would be pissed off too. So I definitely understand Wladimir Klitschko. Because this dude cheated me and didn't even let me get my victory or my redemption from him. I fought AJ instead because his ass was 400 pounds. Facts. Oh, he was out of his mind, right? Facts, right? He couldn't fight. He tested positive for cocaine and nandrolone. Facts. But this all happened in 2015 and 16. Facts. Okay, so Wladimir Klitschko, okay, he told him like, hey, and it wasn't really a blasting, really. It was just like, dude, really? You of all people to say shit about somebody else that never tested positive and yet you did? Come on. And it's been time. Look, Tyson Fury is not a squeaky clean fighter, so the last person on earth that should be ever talking about anybody doing anything is him. Let's just face it. I don't care if you're a Fury fan or whatever the fuck fan you are. You know that's wrong. Now, I don't know what's his thing about Usyk. Maybe he thinks Usyk's going to win. That's why he's talking shit. Maybe it's mind games. Maybe so. But does he have any legal or any kind of warrant, any kind of way to talk about Usyk? No, he does not. Usyk never gave him anything or any reason to say anything about him. So it has to be cap, obviously, right? But I do understand why Wladimir Klitschko was pissed off, and I understand why he reacted the way he did. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Wladimir Klitschko blasting hypocrite Tyson the Gypsy King Fury for the things that he said towards Oleksandr Usyk. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been counterpunching. Peace.